The House chamber fell silent after Marjorie Taylor Greene insulted Jasmine Crockett's appearance live on air, until Crockett's perfectly timed emoji joke sent the room into uncontrollable laughter. Hit like, subscribe for the full clash. The tension in the House Oversight Committee room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Marjorie Taylor Greene stood at her microphone, her face twisted with a particular brand of rage she had made her trademark, having just delivered what she thought was a devastating personal attack on Jasmine Crockett's appearance. The cameras caught everything: the shocked gasps from the gallery, the uncomfortable shifting of other representatives, the way Crockett's eyes narrowed with a dangerous calm. In exactly 12 seconds, Representative Crockett would deliver a response so perfectly crafted, so devastatingly witty, that it would transform Greene from aggressor to punchline, from attacker to attacked, and the entire chamber would erupt in the kind of laughter that changes careers forever. Emerging from grassroots roots, known for sharp wit, relentless research, and bold confidence. Feared for her unfiltered comebacks and strategic poise in political battles. Jasmine Crockett had learned early that when you're a black woman in American politics, they'll come for your appearance when they can't defeat your arguments. She had been preparing for this moment her entire career, understanding that wit could be a weapon more powerful than any policy paper when wielded with precision and timing. Marjorie Taylor Greene represented chaos disguised as conservatism, a seasoned politician with a combative style, controversial history, and a reputation for dominating with bold, dismissive remarks. Used to owning the stage with shock tactics, she had built her brand on saying the unsayable, on crossing lines others wouldn't cross, on turning congressional hearings into circus performances where she was always the ringmaster. Today, she would learn what happens when the circus comes for someone who refuses to be a clown. The packed House hearing room blazed under television lights that seemed to amplify not just brightness but the very molecules of tension in the air. Every seat was filled, reporters crammed into the press section with laptops and phones, ready to transmit whatever was about to happen to millions of Americans in real time. Activists packed the gallery above, some wearing t-shirts with slogans, others holding phones high to live stream despite security warnings. The cameras from C-SPAN, CNN, Fox News, and dozens of digital outlets created a semicircle of red recording lights, each one a portal to households across America where people had stopped everything to witness this confrontation. The stakes transcended typical political theater. This hearing on government oversight had become a battlefield for something deeper: credibility, cultural divides, and the very nature of political discourse in America. The nation watched, exhausted by the degradation of democratic norms but unable to look away from the spectacle. Everyone understood that reputations would be made or destroyed in this room, that careers hung in the balance, that the viral moment everyone was waiting for would define political communication for years to come. The confrontation had been building all morning. Greene had been particularly aggressive, interrupting other members, making wild accusations, turning the hearing into her personal platform for conspiracy theories and culture war rhetoric. Crockett had remained mostly silent, taking notes, occasionally shaking her head at Greene's more outrageous claims. But everyone could sense the tension building between them like static electricity before a lightning strike. The spark came during a discussion about government spending. Crockett had been presenting data about waste in defense contracts when Greene interrupted with her trademark aggression. "Oh, please," Greene said, her voice dripping with contempt. "I don't need a lecture on government waste from someone who probably spends more on those ridiculous fake eyelashes than most Americans make in a month." The personal attack on Crockett's appearance was so unexpected, so inappropriate for a congressional hearing, that the room fell into stunned silence. Even representatives used to Greene's antics seemed shocked. The attack was clearly meant to diminish Crockett, to reduce her from a colleague to a caricature, to use her appearance as a weapon to undermine her credibility. Several members began to object, but Crockett raised her hand slightly, a gesture that somehow commanded the room's attention. Her face remained composed, but those watching closely could see something in her eyes. Not anger, but calculation. She was measuring the moment, timing her response with the precision of a comedian about to deliver a punchline. "Representative Greene," Crockett began, her voice carrying a lightness that contrasted sharply with the tension in the room, "I'm trying to figure out if you're more upset about my eyelashes or about the fact that I can actually read the budgets we're discussing." A ripple of nervous laughter went through the room, but Crockett wasn't done. She pulled out her phone with theatrical deliberation, holding it up so the cameras could see. "You know what? Let me help you understand your mood. Is it angry face emoji?" She made an exaggerated frown. "Or maybe confused face emoji?" She tilted her head with mock confusion. "Oh wait, I got it. It's definitely the clown emoji, Because that's what you're giving us right now. The emoji joke, delivered with perfect timing and just the right amount of playful mockery, broke the tension like a hammer through glass. Laughter erupted from the gallery. Even some Republicans couldn't suppress their smiles. The absurdity of using emoji references in a congressional hearing somehow perfectly captured the absurdity of Greene's personal attacks. Greene's face turned red as she tried to regain control. This isn't a joke. This is a serious hearing. You're making a mockery of. I'm making a mockery? Crockett interrupted, her voice still light but with an edge creeping in. Ma'am, you just critiqued my eyelashes in a congressional hearing about defense spending. If anyone's auditioning for reality TV instead of doing their job, it's not me. The laughter grew louder, but Greene doubled down, her voice rising to nearly a shout. At least I don't pretend to be something I'm not. At least I'm authentic. You sit there with your fake everything, pretending to care about. And that's when Jasmine Crockett delivered the line that would echo through political history. Fake lashes last longer than fake outrage. The simplicity of it, the perfection of the wordplay, the way it captured both the personal attack and the performative nature of Greene's entire political persona, it was devastating. The laughter that exploded through the room wasn't polite congressional chuckling. It was genuine, spontaneous, uncontrollable laughter. People were literally applauding. Reporters were typing frantically while trying not to laugh themselves. The committee chairman was banging his gavel, but he was clearly fighting a smile. Greene stood frozen, her mouth open, no words coming out. The woman who had built her career on shocking statements, on always having the last word, on dominating through aggression, had been completely disarmed by a single perfectly crafted line. The cameras captured her stunned silence, her face cycling through expressions, confusion, anger, embarrassment, as she realized she had been thoroughly defeated. But Crockett wasn't quite finished. As the laughter began to die down, she added with perfect timing, "Now, if we're done discussing my beauty routine, maybe we can get back to discussing why you voted to increase defense spending by $80 billion while claiming to be a fiscal conservative? Or is that another kind of fake we need to talk about?" The pivot from the personal back to the political, while maintaining the thread of fakeness, was masterful. It showed that Crockett could play Greene's game better than Greene herself, but also that she was there to do actual work. The contrast between the two women couldn't have been starker, one throwing personal insults, the other turning those insults into weapons while still trying to do her job. Greene attempted to respond, but her words came out as incoherent sputtering. You can't just. She looked around for support, but even her usual allies were avoiding eye contact, some clearly trying not to laugh. The power dynamic in the room had completely shifted. Greene had entered as the aggressor, the disruptor, the one who controlled through chaos. Now she looked small, defeated, outmatched. "Representative Greene," Crockett continued, her voice now carrying the authority that Greene had lost, "you came for my appearance because you couldn't come for my arguments. You attacked my eyelashes because you can't attack my evidence. That's not strength. That's what people do when they're losing." She began organizing her papers with deliberate calm, preparing to continue with the actual hearing. "I'm here to do the people's business. If you want to discuss makeup tips, I'm sure there's a YouTube tutorial for that. But this is Congress, not a beauty salon, and certainly not your personal platform for middle school mean girl behavior." The middle school mean girl comment landed like another punch. It perfectly captured what everyone had been thinking, that Greene's behavior was juvenile, inappropriate, beneath the dignity of Congress. More laughter rippled through the room, but this time it was accompanied by nodding, by recognition that Crockett had articulated something important about the degradation of political discourse. Greene's attempt to regroup was painful to watch. She tried to return to her prepared talking points about government waste, but her words felt hollow after being so thoroughly exposed. Every time she spoke, people remembered fake lashes last longer than fake outrage, and had to suppress smiles. She had been transformed from feared disruptor to punchline in a matter of minutes. Within seconds of the exchange, social media exploded. Hashtag fake outrage shot to the top of trending topics worldwide, followed immediately by hashtag Crockett clapback and hashtag MTG humbled. The video clip spread like wildfire, shared across party lines by people who appreciated witnessing someone who dealt in personal attacks getting a taste of their own medicine. TikTok creators worked at incredible speed, creating videos that looped Crockett's emoji joke and killer line with various soundtracks. One video showed Green's face getting progressively redder with each comeback, set to circus music. Another used the popular oh no audio over Green's stunned silence after the fake lashes line. The emoji reference spawned its own subset of memes, with people creating emoji sequences to describe political situations. Twitter became a battlefield of reactions and analysis. "She just ended MTG's whole career with a beauty joke," was a common refrain. Political commentators wrote lengthy threads about how Crockett had managed to turn a personal attack into a political victory. Even conservative commentators who usually defended Green admitted she had been thoroughly outplayed. Memes flooded every platform within hours. One showed Crockett as a boxer landing a knockout punch labeled "fake lashes" on Green. Another depicted Green's evolution from angry emoji to clown emoji, directly referencing Crockett's joke. The image of Green's stunned face after the final comeback became instantly iconic, used to express complete defeat in any context. Instagram and Facebook were filled with people sharing the video with captions like, "Watch until the end," and "She really said that in Congress." The fact that such a devastating comeback had happened in such a formal setting made it even more shareable. People who normally didn't follow politics were suddenly invested in this moment of perfect comeuppance. News networks struggled to cover the story with their usual seriousness. How do you report on emoji jokes and eyelash insults in Congress with a straight face? CNN tried to maintain gravitas while showing the clip, but even their anchors couldn't hide their amusement. Fox News, typically defensive of Green, seemed uncertain how to spin someone being so thoroughly defeated at their own game. MSNBC ran the clip repeatedly, their hosts barely containing their glee. "This is what happens when you bring a personal attack to a wit fight," one commentator said. Late-night comedians had material for weeks. Stephen Colbert devoted an entire segment to the exchange, calling it "The Day Congress Discovered Comedy." Trevor Noah created a segment about congressional clapbacks, suggesting they replace regular debates with roast battles. Saturday Night Live recreated the confrontation, with the actress playing Crockett delivering the lines to thunderous applause from the studio audience. The sketch went viral itself, introducing the moment to an even wider audience. The phrase "fake lashes last longer than fake outrage" appeared on merchandise within days. T-shirts, mugs, even fake eyelashes branded with the quote. For Marjorie Taylor Greene, the aftermath was professionally humiliating. The woman who had built her brand on being unshakable, on dominating through aggression, had been reduced to a meme. Her attempts to move past the incident only made it worse. She posted a video response claiming she had been attacked and disrespected, but the internet responded with compilations of all the times she had attacked and disrespected others. She tried to return to her usual provocative style, but everything she said was now met with eyelash emojis and references to fake outrage. Her power to shock and disrupt had been neutralized because everyone now saw her as someone who could be easily defeated with a well-timed joke. The fear she had cultivated was replaced with amusement. She had become what she had always accused others of being, a joke. Within her own party, the response was mixed. Some tried to defend her, but others privately admitted she had brought it on herself by making it personal. Several Republican colleagues suggested she apologize, but Greene doubled down, claiming she was the victim of radical left mockery. This only made her look worse, like someone who could dish it out but couldn't take it. For Jasmine Crockett, the confrontation was transformative. She went from being a respected but relatively unknown representative to a viral sensation, but more importantly, she had shown how to handle bullies, with wit rather than anger, with humor rather than hatred. Her approach became a model for others dealing with personal attacks in politics. Speaking requests flooded her office. Young politicians, especially women who faced similar appearance-based attacks, wanted to learn how she had turned an insult into a victory. Universities invited her to speak about political communication in the digital age. Publishers offered book deals about using humor as a tool for political change. But beyond personal gain, Crockett's response had shifted something in political discourse. She had shown that you didn't have to meet aggression with aggression, that wit could be more powerful than anger, that making people laugh at a bully was more effective than trying to outbully them. The Crockett method, turning personal attacks into punchlines, became studied and emulated. The long-term impact extended to how Congress operated. The incident had embarrassed the institution, highlighting how far discourse had fallen when representatives were discussing eyelashes instead of legislation. Some members pushed for stricter decorum rules. Others argued for the opposite. If members were going to act like comedians, They should at least be funny. The phrase, fake lashes last longer than fake outrage, entered the political lexicon permanently. It was quoted in speeches, appeared on protest signs, and became shorthand for calling out performative anger. It reminded everyone that manufactured controversy could be defeated with genuine wit, that those who dealt in fake outrage were vulnerable to being exposed. Years later, political communication scholars would study the exchange as a masterclass in rhetorical jujitsu, using an opponent's force against them. Crockett hadn't just defended herself, she had transformed the entire nature of the attack. She had turned what was meant to diminish her into something that elevated her while diminishing her attacker. The moment also marked a generational shift in political communication. Younger politicians who had grown up with social media understood that viral moments mattered more than lengthy speeches, that a perfect comeback could do more damage than 100 policy papers. They learned from Crockett that humor wasn't unprofessional. It was a tool as valid as any other in political combat. The House chamber, which had witnessed great debates and terrible scandals, added another moment to its history. But this one was different. This wasn't about legislation or investigation. This was about the moment when someone stood up to a bully not with matching aggression but with something far more devastating: the ability to make everyone laugh at them. As one historian would later write, in the annals of congressional history, there have been canings, shootings, and fistfights. But perhaps no defeat was more complete than when Jasmine Crockett destroyed Marjorie Taylor Greene with a joke about eyelashes. It proved that in the modern age, being funny was more powerful than being fierce, that wit could wound more than rage, and that sometimes the best response to someone trying to drag you down is to make everyone see how ridiculous they look doing it. The confrontation had lasted less than 5 minutes, but its impact would resonate for years. In those few minutes, Jasmine Crockett had not just defended herself against a personal attack, she had revolutionized how such attacks could be handled. She had proven that dignity didn't mean stoicism, that you could maintain your professionalism while still delivering a devastating comeback, and that sometimes the best way to deal with fake outrage was to expose it with real humor.